Hi, everyone. Welcome to Woo Wednesday. I'm Debbie Jade.
And I'm Dr. Jane, and we are your spiritual sounding board. We are bringing you woo-woo spiritualism for down-to-earth folks. And we answer your questions. So if you have any, you can send them in to us. You can comment on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. You can email us. And today we are starting, this is kind of part two from our last episode. Jade, you had just asked a question to me, and our time was pretty much up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I cut you off and I said, we'll do it next time. So I'm kicking it to you.
Okay, so what we landed on was something that's very important in what I said to Jane is I said, now that you've, shifted and changed into your own authenticity and the way that you are doing your life spiritually, how do you incorporate that raising your daughters?
Yeah.
So hallelujah.
Yeah. So we've got, just so everybody knows, my husband and I together have 5 kids. 3 are grown in their 20s, college and post-college. And then we've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, so 6th grade and 3rd grade. So I think that the biggest thing for me, since I went through growing up in a really structured home, some would call it oppressive, very, very strict and organized, that did not welcome questions. I think that there's some things definitely, I had a mother that had a big heart and really, really loved, even though sometimes her methods of love didn't provide psychologically healthy results. I think that's a very PC way of saying she made her own mistakes. And I had a very, very quiet dad. And I think my big thing as somebody who's been a questioner, I like to question things and learn more about them and dig in. If anybody knows me, like Jade, if I'm going to research something, I'm going to research it all the way and, bring out everything and analyze it. And I think my big shift is to allow myself to be wrong, allow the kids to question who I am, why I am, what I am, and beliefs. Even to the point that, I went on a trip fairly recently and visited a Buddhist monastery. It was beautiful and I had pictures of it. And one of my children asked me, because we are from the Christian template, why did you go there? Are you becoming Buddhist? And I was like, well, I'm not really becoming anything. I am a spiritual person. We have this Christian language, this Christian belief that we live, but there's truth. You can find truth in so many different areas. And I think it's at 12, my 12-year-olds who asked me that, at 12, I would have never felt comfortable asking either of my parents a defining question about spirituality. And it's just allowing those questions. We also joked last time about sex and like how I got grounded severely for just saying the word, and that made me more curious. And you found the book from your parents' garage where it was some dirty stuff. It's really funny. So when my 12-year-old was really little, now our 3 oldest are my stepkids. So the 12-year-old and 9-year-old are mine and ours. It was, I guess, when my 12-year-old was really little, I found this 3-book series in our church. It's a Presbyterian church, and we've got a great coffee shop and bookstore. And it was basically introducing the idea of sex to kids. And the first book, and it's like the kids are supposed to grow up through the series. So the first book is for kids when they're like ages 3 to 6, and then the second book is 7 to 10, and then 11 to 13 or whatever. By the way, if you have an 11 to 13-year-old and you haven't had the talk yet, go do it, because they already know everything. You just need to open that door so that they can talk to you about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, especially this day and age, they've already figured it out. But so I went and bought that and I introduced it. It's very appropriate. It wasn't like, it was age appropriate. It was done by a Christian book company. And so I opened the door there so that it wouldn't be this taboo thing. We're not going to talk about that. Sex is just for marriage and you don't need to think about it, or you don't need to. Well, allow the questions that might make you a little uncomfortable, but also prepare for them. You know, look at the things like so many parents don't look forward to having the talk with their kids. I was at dinner a couple of months ago with all the moms from my sixth graders class, and a couple of them were like, oh, well, my daughter just asked me to explain this to her, and it made me so uncomfortable. And I was thinking, this child like literally came out of your vaginal opening. Like, you've known this child before anybody else got a chance to meet her. Why would this question make you feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And so there was something, we were actually watching something. There's this really cool YouTube channel called The Bible Project. And my husband really likes it because it breaks down the Bible in like cartoons, kind of comic style cartoons, and explains what the different things in the Bible means. We were watching one, and I don't remember which book it was, but one of the themes of the book was, maybe it was Job, was sex. And the girls just both were like,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Bob, that's my husband's name. I said, Bob, can you just pause it? And I looked over and I said, ladies, what was that about? And they were like, nothing. And I said, no. When the word sex came up, you guys both kind of like became smaller and your eyes got real big and like you kind of blushed a little. And no, just play it. Just play it, Dad. Just play. And I'm like, do not hit play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I looked over at them and I was like, all right, so here's the deal. The reason that sex is so embarrassing is because people have given you the impression that you're not supposed to talk about it or understand it, that it's bad, and it's not bad. It's a good thing. The reason that some people feel uncomfortable with it is because it's misused, and those people haven't felt their comfort zone, haven't figured out where it fits in their life in a healthy way. So that's why it's uncomfortable for you. So what I did was I sat there on our couch and I said, ladies, I am going to sit here and I'm going to say the word sex over and over and over again until it no longer elicits a response from you. So this is the kid that got grounded for saying the word sex at like age 14 or 15 or something. And so it was a good couple of minutes. And finally my 12-year-old was like, enough. And I'm like, no, you're still reacting. And I was saying it in different ways. I was saying sex, like just all different ways to try to like get them to like just stop. And you know, and then we had the talk right then. At the time they were 12 and 8. Our 9-year-old hadn't turned 9 yet, but it took the taboo away. I'm like, hey guys, this is where you have to come for your questions with that stuff, because this is where it's healthiest. Mm-hmm. So that was a super long answer to your question, but I think
it was. And so I'd like to actually, she didn't ask me, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I want your answer.
Say, okay, so what about a person like me that's a woo-woo person all my life? Because here's the thing with this, people think I'm out there on the full moon dancing around, you know, like an outlander with no clothes on.
She is, everybody. Don't believe her.
Oh, no. Sorry. So, and I was a single mom. I have 5 children as well, and 3 of them are boys. And my ex was not very participatory. And when I was married to him, I was Mormon. Nothing wrong with that. It was exactly where I was meant to be. And it was a good structure for me. I needed it. But having said that, when I'm doing my Native American ceremony and all the initiatory work over the course of years, that's like going from a square little white church or temple, we know the big temple, clear over into the woods. So in Inipi ceremonies that look, you know, they look like furs over them, and it's completely opposite. And when my children started coming of age, I knew. I was married when my one girl, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to tell her. So she remembers this, and she says, forever, I couldn't believe you did this, Mom. She still says it to this day. So we had Care Bears for all of the furniture in there in her room. And on her Care Bear chalkboard, we sat down and had school, you know, because she was in about 6th grade, and I felt it was time for her, because I knew she was going to go into these stupid classes that they taught at school where everybody's going to get all embarrassed. And I wanted her to get a very healthy education. So she said, you would draw these little things on here. And I'm like, I don't think it was quite to the level of what you remember, but see, that's memory. She just remembers it was so embarrassing. And
it's her truth from her, from where she stood.
You know, I wasn't raw about it. I was just very, very class style. This is what it is. But I wanted her to hear it from her mother.
Yeah.
So now that was the Mormon truth. Now with the boys, I was already doing my Native American stuff. So that's when we all danced. Right? No. We
were all naked all the time anyway, so it didn't really matter.
It's like, how does a woman tell her boys about what's going on? I mean, how do you do that? And I'm like, okay, first of all, I asked a couple of guys that I was very close with, how do you do this? And they said, you just tell them. I'm like, okay, but because I knew my ex wasn't going to explain anything to him. And the thing about Native American teachings is that, number one, it's very matriarchal. So it's all about respecting women, respecting Mother Earth, respect all our relations, everything. So I wanted to take it from that.
Yeah.
And what about masturbation? We talked about that a little while ago. I thought, how am I going to talk to him about that? It's natural. And so I said, okay, so here's the deal. I don't want to know. It's a normal thing for this to occur, but please take it to the shower. I just, okay, shower. Let the drain babies go where they may. Because I mean, as a mom and a woman, you don't talk about that kind of stuff to your boys. And I mean, what am I gonna? But I didn't want them ever to feel that they couldn't do it, because they do it. Okay, and then, oh gosh, when they were little and they'd get little erections, and I think, uh-oh. And they're little when they're real little when they start this up. And I'm like,
little baby boys play with their penis in the womb.
Oh yeah, no. They're like doing. I mean, and I mean, honestly, so you might talk about this with maybe 2 or 3 of your girlfriends, but we're on like everywhere. They do it. So it's like, okay, how do I do this? I say, okay, so we're having a bath. Let's take the bath and let's relax. And I don't know, kind of distracting them, but never making it a shame issue.
Yeah.
Nothing ever with that. And then I had to teach him how to wash. Now that's another one too. So I said, you have to wash everything twice, you know, and I know people are like, make sure that you use all of the proper names, but
right.
Okay, that's just been in the last so many years that they've taken it to that level.
Yeah.
And before it was like, well, what do you say? Private parts, wash your private parts, keep them private. And I'm going to say this is a Jade thing perhaps, but taking it at that level, it doesn't make it it makes it so that you know that there are parts on your body that aren't always exposed. If you're like, okay, your penis and, you know, your testicles and your vagina, I mean, it makes it so clinical. It doesn't make it that private anymore. It's very
clinical.
Yeah, it's very clinical. Yeah. So anyway, in my moment of time, I said, okay, private parts twice, and make sure, because I don't want any smelling things, you know, I want to make sure that they were very, very clean, because our bodies really are important to us. It's our numero uno.
Yeah.
And they never have felt shame. They felt good about who they are. Because I taught them in a way that was to the highest good of their body, every one of my children, they didn't have, you know, just sex over here, sex over there, sex
right.
everywhere.
And I think that's the big link between sex and spirituality. Like, I separated them because I was told in kind of an oppressive way, you know, this is what you do in church and sex is only for marriage, but there wasn't a respect link there. And so I was and I've said this to you before, Jade, I experimented a lot. I was no
Yeah.
virgin
You know
Mary.
that song about where they sing about the girl that goes behind?
I wasn't that bad. People probably thought I was, but I wasn't that bad. But I mean, you know, there were multiple
No, she
partners,
wasn't.
and
She
you
wasn't.
know,
Take things in good fun, people, because I mean, you know, we're not that literal sometimes. This thing with the boys, though, no, I was literal with that.
yeah,
Things with girls,
yeah.
I
But I
really,
think your
I
body
totally,
is really, really important, and
yeah, no,
especially for women,
oh
you know, Jade and I both, we love our makeup and the hair stuff and pretty
yeah,
shoes and couture stuff, you know, and there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. You can be that person who values
yeah,
sex, who
yeah, yeah,
values your body, who values, you know, your physical appearance, and you can be very, very spiritual. And that honestly is what we're going to be talking about on our next episode. So you're going to want to tune in there, but we're not quite done with this one yet.
yeah. So we have a person over here that I was in the box and was way out of the box, so out of the box that I mean, my family wasn't talking to me either. They thought I was from Woodstock or something. I mean, going out there and sweating it out and taking your children and they can run around like hellions and really be free. I mean, that looks like Woodstock to them, you know. And yes, my hair was, yeah, no. And coming out of those Anipi ceremonies and you're all muddy and, you know, it's a completely different life than sitting in church going, hallelujah. 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 Yeah. No,
No disrespect to Handel, but
just so you know, I was in the choir.
I was too. It's how I paid for my undergrad.
Yes, I love being in the choir. So anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're in the box, come out of the box and do it that way, or you're in the box, you're way out of the box. The main thing with your children is for us as mothers. Remember, single mom telling boys, please just know that you can talk to them because we have this big thing in the world that children look at. It starts with a P, it's a 4-letter word, it ends with N, and that's what they look at because that's their come from. That's what they can get into. I would much rather have them learn it from me and know what it is. My children never did that because I was never embarrassed. I was never shamed by it and proud of this that God gave me, that goddesses gave me this cover. So tell your children, tell them the truth.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, from both of our stories, our backgrounds, you know, you're always going to be given a template. And just from a psychological background, your kids from ages 0 to 7, they're in theta stage. So they're just sponges and they're going to believe everything you do. They're going to believe everything you say. And then they're supposed to start questioning once their hormones start kicking in so that they can develop their own adult persona. But I think that just from a psychological standpoint, and as you're down to earth woo woo chick, the most important thing for you to embody as the parent or as the mentor is authenticity, because kids can smell inauthenticity coming a mile away. So if you're owning your authentic power, if you've stepped into that and it's the way that I can say, you know, my mom screwed up a whole lot, but she had a good heart and she did it for the right reasons.
Right.
The way that she carried it out wasn't right. But the one thing that I can say about her is in every situation, she was authentic, which is why everything that she did was okay. Even though I'm sure that psychologists for years would like to write her a thank you note for how many hours I had to spend in their offices resolving some of those things, but come from a place of authenticity, and you can't go wrong with your kids.
So we just want to like end this on again, please share your stories because everybody has stories. Thank you for sharing your stories because we're getting a lot of stuff. We're doing what we can to comb through those and bring them in there. And we appreciate your support that you guys are giving us because we are woo-woo chicks. We're woo-woo for the hoo-hoo today. Woo-woo. And yeah, we totally will do everything we can to always express our love, express what our gods and goddesses want us to say. And I want you to know this too, as a final note, they do want us to tell the truth in those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want everything hidden anymore. It's no closed books any longer. No
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you leave some comments down. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what your comments are, your suggestions. If you have any wisdom to add for everybody else, put it down there in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
So that you will find out whenever we drop a video just for you on Woo Woo
Yes.
Wednesday. You can
Yes.
also follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Woo Woo Chicks. That is Debbie Jade and Dr. Jane. And now I guess we're out.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.